Tacklebox. Cat made her way off the docks and towards the by-the-day dry boarding house. She touched her ear again. She already knew there was no blood, but it still stung with a wetness that kept drawing her hand back to it. She was sure it must be purple with bruises. She was also conscious that she had lost her headscarf somewhere in the rampage through the bazaar. She had nothing to hide the two little horns that protruded from her mop of crimson hair. She felt like everyone was staring at her horns, though really, probably nobody was paying attention to a kid running through the street. She hated Miss Fry. She was glad that she would never have to go back to the Daymarket daycare again. She was aware of how upset her brother was, but why did she need to be watched anyway? She was big enough to take care of herself while he was working, wasn't she? She wouldn't miss the other children either. Most of them were the children of the small merchants, or the children of customers in from the countryside. Most of them had at least one parent to go home to, and most of them would laugh at Cat and call her nasty names behind her back. The only thing that stopped them from calling her names to her face was the fact that they had learned she would hit them. The only time the other children seemed to halfway respect her was when she invented new games for them to play. Cat felt the bite of irony that this was also what had gotten her kicked out. She hadn't been trying to teach them how to steal. She just wanted to play something more interesting than peg-leg tag or zombies and priests, both of which usually just degenerated into everybody running around screaming and giggling and pushing each other over. The game she had invented today was a simple game of stealth and distraction, with the stealth teams working in tandem with the distraction teams, and everyone sharing in the pilfered sweets. It had worked so well on the sweets that then they had started to try it on other targets. Apples from the fruit stall, smoked sausages from one of the butchers, pretty feathers from the Fletcher, corks from the barrel right, spoons from the silversmith, the whole cash box from the leather tanner. Cat found herself at the doorstep of the by-the-day. She listened and peered inside. There were two loud drunks arguing by the hearth in the common room. The boarding house was dry, which just meant the residents couldn't drink there and were required to get drunk somewhere else before they came back for supper. Cat tiptoed in, trying not to be noticed, and headed for the stairs. She saw old Grandel in the kitchen, and they made eye contact for a moment. Grandel scowled suspiciously and shook her head disapprovingly, but then turned back to the stove and ignored Cat. At the top of the stairs, Cat listened, making sure nobody was in the hall before darting to the fifth room on the left. Here she took a deep breath, coiled her body ready to run if necessary, and flung the door open. Nobody was waiting inside in ambush, but it paid to be wary. It had happened once before, and the first time she'd been lucky that Brieg had been 2 steps behind her at the time. Satisfied that their room was clear, she shut the door and propped the wedging stick under the inside handle. Only then did she breathe a little bit easier. The room had 2 narrow cots, each with a makeshift curtain over it. There were 2 locked chests, Brieg's iron-bound oak chest and her little pine chest held together with nails and glue. She found the little rusty key in her pocket and unlocked the little rusty lock. She knew if she ever lost the key, it would only take a few kicks to remove the lock completely. But it still made her feel grown up that she took good care of the key and always knew where it was. Cat only had 1 scarf left. She took it out of the chest and tied it around her head. She felt better. After relocking her chest and stowing away her key, Cat found Brieg's fishing tackle box under his cot. There was no fishing pole anymore. It had been lost to a sea monster months ago, or so Cat was certain. Brieg didn't believe her, but she knew only a sea monster could have pulled that hard. It didn't matter, though. After losing the pole, she had spent weeks proving to Brieg that she could still catch things with just the line, sinkers, floats, and hooks. She hefted the box, removed the wedging stick, checking that the hallway was clear, and she was on her way.